Hello, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Veg Networking Canada, where vegan plant-based companies connect and collaborate. We honor, acknowledge, and respect that we're located on the traditional, ancestral, and unceded territories of many Indigenous peoples of Canada. Today, we have a special guest with us. She is a champion for the phrase, when you eat more plants, you do the happy dance. She's an overcomer of chronic IBS since childhood and a passionate community building leader with a big heart for the zero waste movement. Veg Networking Canada is pleased to introduce the founder of Stormy's. Welcome, Stormy Johansen.
Hello, thanks for having me on the show.
Thank you so much for joining us. And as we always do, we like to know a little bit more about the personal side of our guests. So can you tell us the story of what led you to go vegan?
Yep. So, okay, I'm going to go back to before I even started going vegan. So, as Justin mentioned, I've had IBS like my whole life, which if you don't know what IBS means, it's like you're pretty much always in gut pain. You're always looking for the toilet, on the floor beside the toilet, or on the toilet. You go out in public, you're like, where's like you just have to like plan your life around being near a toilet. Um, And when I was little, I also always got sick. Like I always had sinus infections, tonsillitis, UTIs, probably from having IBS and being constipated all the time. And then as I got older, it just got worse. And since I was little, my parents always brought me to the doctor and they would give me medicine and nothing would work long term. So by the time I was like 20, I was just like, this is how I'm gonna have to live forever. Like literally, this is just my life now. And I was just used to it. Um, but then around 21, I stopped taking birth control because I was broke in Australia and I couldn't afford the birth control there. So I did take like this generic one and it made my eyeballs itchy. And so I was like, okay, I'm going off this. I can't have the itchy eyeball birth control and I can't afford birth control. So then I got all these other problems, which were probably masked because I'd been on birth control for so long. And I got like horrible acne. I got greasy hair, which I mean, that's not too bad of a thing, but yeah. So I like had such bad acne and hormone problems. So I decided to go see a naturopath for that because I was like, I can't, like, I've already got this IBS. I can't have all these other things going on. It's just like so much. You can't focus on anything when you feel sick all the time. And so I went to her and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm here for my acne and my hormones. And she starts asking me all these questions. Then she realizes that I've had IBS forever. And she's like, you don't have to like live like this. And I was like, wait, what? Are you sure? And she's like, yeah, like you can fix your gut. So at that moment, I was like, okay, I'm going to try everything I can to fix my gut, also my acne, hormones, and all those other things. So I didn't go vegan right away because at that time, I didn't know like the health benefits of eating like a whole food plant-based diet. I mean, you can eat vegan and eat unhealthy too. And I had this roommate. She was the first vegan I ever met. She was in Australia and she'd been a vegan since birth. And she lived off Migorian, which is like Mr. Noodles and like processed meat. But looking back, she was a first year university student. So like everybody is eating stuff like that. So, but in my head, I was like, vegans aren't healthy people. Like, I'm not going to do that. And so naturopaths always tell you to do like the paleo diet, which I'm sure most of you are familiar, like you've heard about it. So I was doing that and all sorts of cleanses, colonics, stuff like that until I think I was 25 and I was back in Canada and I met this other Australian who was also vegan and she was a dietitian. And I remember going to work and she'd bring her meals and they were just so pretty and colorful. And at this point, I was afraid of eating like any fruit at all. I couldn't have any grains, so I couldn't eat rice, couldn't eat beans. And I didn't like the taste of meat either. So just like I was force feeding myself this stuff I like this meat that I thought was healthy. And then after working with her for a while, we became like best friends. And so she would invite me over for dinner and I would learn to cook from her. And I slowly started eating like chickpeas and some fruit. And I remember I saw her buy like a bag of oranges and I couldn't believe that she was going to eat a bag of oranges. And I was so jealous. I was like, I can't eat oranges. Like sugar feeds all this stuff in my gut. Um, and then I think it was August in 2016, and it already been a year I'd like been friends with her and like learning to cook because I didn't know how to cook and checking out Instagram recipes and stuff. And I was in this hotel in Vancouver actually with my auntie and her. And my aunt was kind of like an on and off again vegan her whole life. She's vegan now. It took her a while to just stand up to her friends and be like, no, like I've always wanted to be vegan. I don't care what you say. But I just decided to, I was like, I'm going to try it. And I didn't think it would stick because I tried so many diets I didn't stick to. But the thing about when you go vegan is it's not just a diet. Even if you start that way for your health, you start to realize, like Anita was saying, the benefits for the climate and that you're not causing harm to animals. And within a couple months, I felt so much better. Do want to mention I did go gluten-free at this time too. So a lot of me getting better was gluten-free and plant-based. In the first couple months, I was like a junk foodie vegan. And then I learned about a whole food plant-based vegan. And yeah, after that, I didn't have like IBS symptoms. And I understood why people could like, sorry, this is a lot of info, but people can go to the bathroom in public toilets and I would never do it. But that's because that would be so loud. And now I'm just like, oh, like a poop should take like 13 seconds or something like that. But I didn't know my whole life. So that was like a big motivator to stay plant-based. And then my skin got way better. And I used to take antibiotics all the time because I was always sick. And I haven't had to take antibiotics in 8 years. Knock on wood. Yeah. So then, and then I met my husband, who's a very like, what do you call it? Ethical vegan. And yeah, it's stuck for like 8 years. And then also it's pretty cool because my dad followed shortly afterwards because of the health benefits. But he's still vegan, and then my two sisters too.
That
But that's
is that
that's a
is
long story.
that is incredible. We love long stories, short stories, whatever the story is, as long as it's authentic, which that was, we love it. And that's so great. And thank you so much for sharing. And we really hope that people who do struggle with gut questions, issues, uncertainty, and stuff like that do hear this, because you're probably speaking in a way that would give a lot of people who are currently feeling the way that you used to feel a lot of hope, because
Yeah.
I could only imagine feeling that this is life and this is going to be life, to have somebody tell you, no, it doesn't have to be that way. And then to actually have that come true, how that feels. So, okay. So switching gears a little bit, you have your business Stormies. So we'll talk, of course, throughout the conversation more about that. Is Stormies your entrepreneurial origin story, or where did entrepreneurism start for you?
You know, I was thinking about it yesterday and it actually started like a year before that. Well, I guess like I went to school for business management because I one day wanted to be an entrepreneur, but I had never been around entrepreneurs. So it kind of seemed like something you could learn about, but couldn't really do. But I was serving for a couple years after university, and then I started going plant-based, started drinking less, and I was like, I don't want to keep serving. Like I'm telling people to eat food that I wouldn't eat, and I'm like, hey, do you want a double? Do you want another one? Do you want another one? Which is just, and I don't even drink anymore. So I saved up for a year because I wanted to do online plant-based courses. And then I moved down to Chilliwack actually because I had met my husband and I tried to do it. I started a podcast too. It was called The New Norm Co. The website is still up there, but I realized I cannot work by myself all day at home. I just couldn't do it. And I had always had the idea of starting a food truck like in my head since I went plant-based because I just got so excited about food. And then one day there was someone sent me, Earth's Own does that. I think it's like 20 grand they give people for plant-based projects every year. I remember it was the year Erin Ireland was like advertising for it. And I didn't know who she was. And then someone showed it to me. And my husband's like, you should apply for the food truck you always talk about with this. And so I applied. So you actually had to put together like a business plan and stuff. And I did not get the grant. But then I realized, hey, like if I get a loan, I could actually make this come true. Um, and yeah, so then that's why I decided to do it. So the whole year before, I wouldn't say it's a waste because I learned a lot that hopefully I'll integrate back into the business of Stormies. Um, yeah, and then we started the food truck. We did smoothie bowls because when I was first plant-based, smoothie bowls were so exciting and I like didn't know how to cook anything, but I'd mastered the blender. And you can eat a smoothie bowl whenever you want to eat something sweet, but it's good for you. And I have such a huge sweet tooth. So I was like, smoothie bowls, basically breakfast, lunch, dinner. And I'm like, everybody's gonna love smoothie bowls. And also, Chilliwack's a very animal agriculture based town. So I wanted something where I could show people plant-based tastes good and is tasty without being like super in their face kind of thing. Like, hey, we're vegan. So everything says plant-based, but it's all vegan. Like we don't use honey or anything like that.
That's awesome. So in terms of Stormy's, the food truck, the sort of retailer brick and mortar location that you got going on right now, the next question for you is where is your brand going in the future? So it's usually helpful for people listening to have you walk us up to speed of like from
Where
start
we
to
are
where
right
you are
now.
today. Exactly. And then where are you going to go in the future?
Okay, so we started I always say we, it was me, but I have a team now. So I started the food truck in, I think it was 2020, 2021. Literally, we opened the day after restaurants closed for COVID, but food trucks were allowed to be open, which was really great for us. And yeah, I thought it was going to be just me working there. And I had my husband come for like our soft launch, and it was so busy. So I had a friend come and my husband for the next day. And yeah, I was happy because their smoothies still took like 40 minutes. And then I quickly realized like, oh, it's not going to be just me. Like I need a team. So I hired a couple people and they helped me do the food truck for the first season. So our food truck is April to September. And we did that for 2 years. And then last year, during our third year, a zero waste grocery store in town called PickEco Refills was moving from one side of town to the other side of town. And her new spot had a space for, like, she had extra space. And she asked me if I wanted to open a smoothie bar in there. And I was like, yes, definitely. But I want to sell more than smoothies because I always wanted to sell, like at my food truck, I wanted to be able to turn into selling cold food in the winter. But I decided to get pregnant in my first season. So I needed the winter time off for that. But with a store, I was like, okay, we can sell more than smoothie bowls because I really want people to know like you can eat more than smoothie bowls and salads and everything is tasty and good, even if it's plant-based. I mean, sorry, even if it's gluten-free because everything's gluten-free. And we're also nut-free just because I wanted people with allergies to be able to eat there. um, and so we have the food truck now, which will just do events only. Before we used to have a permanent spot down by like a river and walking and dog park and kids park trail the last couple of years. But now we'll just do pop-ups and events. And our store is open all year long, 7 days a week. It's got smoothies, smoothie bowls, food bowls, bagels, and some snacks. We also have this product called Granola, which is kind of like granola, but it's soft and chewy. So it's not dry, it doesn't have added oil or sugar. That's kind of what we were known for at the food truck was our granola. So we started packaging that to sell. And I'll mention it later, but I tried to launch that into retail stores and I did not realize how different a business that is and how expensive it is. And I'm sure there's lots of people in this group from that what's called that industry. So when I opened the store, my husband was like, "You can't do them all, Stormy," and I was like, "Yeah, we're gonna do the store." So we sell our granola, but we just sell it to like people that come in and out of our store. And there's a local store in town called The Veganist. We sell it there too. And because in the future, what we would really like to do is start making online courses to teach people how to go plant-based without using a recipe because I don't like following recipes. And I know some people really love recipes and they need the step by step. But for me, they were like a deterrent. And I'd be like, I don't have all these ingredients. I can't make this. So that's kind of the approach we want to take. And I say we because I have this really great, all my employees are really great. But this one particular employee, she's been with us for guess since the beginning of the food truck and she's plant-based too. She's super knowledgeable about plant-based eating and nutrition. And she is actually our community engagement intern. She's a student as well. And she is passionate about this project too. So she's going to help me work on it. And then that way we can expand beyond Chilliwack to teaching people how to go plant-based because I just think about like, imagine I didn't have IBS as a little kid too. My life would have been so much better. I was literally known as a person that always had to leave. Like I had to leave every party, kids party and stuff because I'd eat too many like cream puffs or something and get a stomach ache. But we never thought, oh, it might be the cream puffs. We were just like, oh, Stormy's got a stomach ache again. But yeah, so that's what we want to do. And we also do currently some workshops, but we'd like to offer more like in-person workshops because in-person is also super fun. yeah, so then I guess all my skills that I learned in my 1 year trying to work by myself will come in handy because now I have someone to work with and I have a team. So
That sounds really, really great. And yeah, expanding beyond Chilliwack with the courses and everything to not only in more homes and more people in Canada, but all over the place, right? And you're probably right. A lot of that would resonate with a lot of parents who might be feeling like their child has that same thing, that same experience. Very, very cool. Very, very cool. So, and now I'm craving this no added sugar, oil, chewy granola, which sounds exclusive. You can only get it at two different places for now. So that sounds okay. So in your industry, what are some trends or transformations that you've noticed?
I was thinking about this and I honestly don't pay attention. And I know it's probably bad business, but it's hard to keep up with trends, especially trends on social media. And I find like because we're so like whole food plant-based, we can only follow trends so much. Like, there's always people veganizing like a plant-based thing, but a lot of times you need oil and sugar. And like we could do it, but it's just not really within our brand. I want like us to sell stuff that is so healthy people can eat it every day. Um, but yeah, I should pay attention to trends, but I really don't.
No, no problem at all. I think kind of what you've said so far in the conversation in terms of not a trend that's going to come and go, but maybe more of a transformation is the reduction of sugar, reduction of oils, going more clean, education for people with gut health,
Yeah.
um, zero waste, other things you're passionate about. So very, very cool. All right. So in your journey so far, what are some books, podcasts, apps, or maybe other resources that you would recommend to other business owners or entrepreneurs?
Okay, there's this one I really like right now. It's called The Brand Is You by Robin Savage. It's a podcast. She also has like an Instagram page, but she is actually from Squamish and her specialty is helping grow personal brands. Not that mine right now isn't too much of a personal brand, but I would like it to be to like help differentiate ourselves. And her podcast is really helpful, but she also has this program she just launched called the Brand Is You Academy. And I think it's like $100. And every month she has something called the Content Club where you sit down and she gives you prompts. So like in 6 hours, you write a whole month's worth of content for your business. But also in there, she has all these cool workshops. It just feels like too good of a deal to be real. Like she just launched it this year before she was quite expensive to work with, and she still has like lots of different what do you call it offerings for different size businesses. But yeah, she's just really all about helping you like nail down your branding. And then I also like Marie Forleo. I don't know if that's how you say her name. She's like an original female business entrepreneur educator. And she's got a podcast. It has a lot of episodes on it. I like it because it covers not just business, but sometimes like life. Like she's got this new program about it's called Time Genius. It's becoming someone who goes from time stress to time genius, which I'm trying to go from, being like too many things all at one time to a time genius. Um, I'm sure there's ones that I looked at in the past, but those are all I remember right now. I listen to a lot of plant-based podcasts.
And that's so funny and ironic that you don't view your or maybe you do, like you said, maybe I misheard, but how you're Stormy, your brand is Stormy, you're totally a personal brand. So
I know, right? But I don't show up enough on my Instagram handles and
mm,
stuff. So many people don't know it's me. So I'm like, okay, I'm doing this. I gotta do this. There's a chain smoothie bowl coming to BC and Alberta, and they're very close to my locations. Yeah,
so
gotta
time to
differentiate.
get your face on there for sure.
Exactly.
Um, Now, there's no right or wrong answer to the next question. Everybody's business is different. We've had people mention or answer this from the organizational or the business standpoint or from the personal standpoint. Something you've done in the past or currently doing or might be looking toward doing in the future. But the question is, what does Stormies do or what does it mean to you when you hear giving back or charity?
Um, okay, well, when we were at the food truck, We were only open six months of the year. And so we didn't do, I mean, we're at a lot of community events, and sometimes we'll drop our minimum fee for smaller ones like that. But since we opened the store, we've had so many more opportunities to do stuff within the community. Um, okay, so our first one we did when we opened the store is actually a student from the high school came to us, and she was doing they're doing this workshop called Beautiful You. And it was for female teenagers from, I think, grades 9 to 12. And basically the older girls are helping the younger girls get like introduced to the school, and they do like health and wellness sort of activities. So they had like yoga, and they approached us to see if we could do anything. So we went in and we taught them how to make smoothie bowls, which was super fun. Like we got to set up in the home ec room, and we were like, this is how you make a smoothie bowl. And then they got to all make their own and then top them. So since then we've been doing a couple events like that. Like we just worked with the Girl Guides, so much smaller group, and taught them how to do smoothie bowls and granola. And we partnered with United Way they've helped fund some of our workshops that we did with PickEco, the zero waste store. So they're kind of like a mix of how to be plant-based and zero waste at the same time. I think I wrote them down. There's a couple more things that we did. Oh, we have a couple of those zero waste and plant-based workshops coming up in the summertime. And yeah, it's just mostly like in-person community events. We're teaching, oh, my kids Strong Start. Do you guys know what Strong Start is? Strong Start, yeah. So it's like basically I think like 1 to 4 year olds at each school, they do like activities and stuff. So we're gonna go in and teach the parents of my kids Strong Start how to make smoothie bowls so they can make like healthy options at home. But that's mostly how we give back. Sometimes we do gift cards when people reach out and ask for us, but we like the in-person stuff.
Yeah, it sounds that way. Really giving back through building community
Mm-hmm.
and
So fun.
yeah, community and family, and yeah, very, very fun. Okay, so before we get to the last one, we got two more here. This question, we've had people talk about them themselves as sources of inspiration, other individuals, other organizations, nature, so many different things. But when you hear inspiration, what comes up for you?
Um, okay, well, it's probably not really business related, but random people on Instagram. That sounds so bad. I'm not on Instagram that much, but when I was like feeling sick and stuff all the time, I'd be on Instagram looking at food. And I remember there's a couple mom plant-based people. And this is like long before I had a partner. I just knew I wanted to have a kid and a family and eat healthy, delicious food. And so if you guys know Ellen Fisher or Earthy Andy, they live in Hawaii, which is just, the smoothie bowl capital. So I guess they inspired me because they were just living these like healthy lives with kids. I mean, it's just Instagram, but they didn't look tired. All the food they post looks so good. And I'm like, I just want to have that energy, be able to have a kid. Because with like, I didn't even mention, I was so tired all the time. Like I would fall asleep driving, and I would be like in a chair in class and actually fall asleep sitting up. And I couldn't understand how people would keep themselves awake when they're tired driving. And now I get it, because now there's no chance I'm falling asleep driving. But back then it was just like, oh, I'm falling asleep. Or like literally I'd be watching a lecture that I'm super interested in, and I would be like this. um, and so I was like, how am I ever gonna have kids when I feel like that all the time? Also, IBS, constantly sick, and they just looked super healthy. And yeah, I guess that inspired me. One of them had like, this is really far off from entrepreneurship, but one of them has only home births. So that's where I got the idea of home birth. And then we did a home birth with Lyft. And it's kind of cool because one of them still, like, she's an entrepreneur, and I think her husband stays at home with the kids, but she's like adapting her work to fit her family. So she used to post on YouTube all the time with her kids, but they're getting older and she doesn't want to show them on YouTube. So she's switching over to podcasting. And I just think it's really cool when you make your business work for your family, which mine sort of is right now, but I'm working to, like, the online platform will really help us in the future when we want to have more kids, because I stay at home with, like, I want to stay at home with them. I also want to work. So yeah, those are the people that inspire me.
That's so great. Yeah, it's been very clear through the conversation so far that family values and community, and of course, just general overall healthy living inspire you. But yeah, I mean, You're definitely transferring at least through this conversation, transferring the energy that you were originally inspired by and like living it through and like bringing that out to other
Be
people, adults,
inspiring
kids,
people.
and yeah, yeah. So last question for you here. Some people don't like framing this under the guise of advice, but the question for you is, do you have any advice, lessons, or tips for other business owners or entrepreneurs?
Yeah, so I was thinking one of my main ones is before you enter a new industry, talk to multiple people in that industry. So as I mentioned earlier, with Ranola, I did not do that. And I could have saved myself a lot of time and hassle and money if I had understood. I mean, I think most people would probably do this anyways. I don't know why I didn't. But if they understand the industry before they go into it, so they have the proper finances, they know if it's going to fit their lifestyle. And then a follow up to that is when you work with consultants to remember that you're hiring them for your business and you own your business. Um, this was like a big learning lesson for me because I tend to be someone who just goes, okay, okay, when people tell me to do stuff. But I realize I need to stick up for myself if I like don't agree with the advice because it's my business and I know it better than people. Um, I think that would have helped me a lot before. And then just to reach out to other entrepreneurs, which you guys are already doing with this group. And I feel like even if they're not in the same business as you, they always have advice to give, like even if it's with like maybe not like the specific day to day, but like managing a team. And I've noticed like since I opened the store, it's so much different than the food truck. And there's so many more employees and so much to do. And you have to make sure everybody's working properly and like holding their own and not just the food truck. Everyone just shows up. They go as fast as they can for a couple of hours, then they go home. There's no extra like stuff for them to be doing during their shift. And I think I might have had one other thing. Oh, to look for grants. I did not realize there's so many grants out there until I started working with Selena from PickEco. And there's so many for hiring students. And just like even I found this one in Chilliwack, it's called Community Future. So if you're in Chilliwack, I think Abbotsford area, you can go apply for it. And they provide like business training up to $5,000. They do a bunch of free workshops. And there's something else they did on there. Something else, I can't remember. But you just have no idea unless you look for it.
Totally. I mean, just last week we had another individual talking about grants. She has a CFO background and she was talking a little bit about grants and also what you said. I can't remember who it was, but we did have someone else talking about that piece of wisdom that you gave, which is huge, is how your business can be, taken from you or gone down a path that you're not really that invested or interested in if you're not careful and instilling boundaries. So great, great, great pieces of or lessons that have worked for you that might work for other people there. And as well, sometimes it's even better if you're surrounding yourself with other like-minded business owners, entrepreneurs that are not in the same industry, who can
Yeah.
help you maybe see things from a different perspective because they might be a little bit closer to your customer. But great, great insights. Now, Stormy, before we let everybody know your website and your Instagram, where they can go and drool away and make a plan to go get this Ranola and all that good stuff that you got going on in your store, is there anything in the conversation that came up that you want to go back to? Any announcements for your business, or maybe anything that we missed?
Hmm, I don't think so. I said a lot of things very fast. I talk very fast. um, but no, I think that's it.
Awesome. Awesome. All right, everybody. Well, you can find out more online, stormies.ca. It's how you would think, Stormys, stormies.ca. And on Instagram, it's at Stormies Food Truck. All right, everybody. Thanks for joining us for another episode of Veg Networking Canada. Today, we had an awesome conversation with a great entrepreneur, the founder of Stormies, Stormy Johansen. And Stormy, thank you for joining us. Everybody who's here with us live, thank you for joining us. And everybody listening on your own time, thank you for joining us. And we'll catch you soon on another episode. Take care. Bye for now.